offer. Although I had so many questions, they could wait. I hadn't gotten a good look at my room yet, and even after witnessing the opulence of the rest of the space, I wanted to inspect where I would be sleeping for the summer. The room was a perfect size for me, and while the bathroom was cramped, it offered everything I needed. I was still confused about how much real estate I got for only $800 a month, but at that moment, the overwhelming emotion I felt was delight. My living arrangements were a nice antidote to the chaos of my trip. When I groggily emerged from my room a couple of hours later, Alvenia met me in the kitchen. "Would you like some tea?" she inquired. "Herbal if you have it, please." "That's all I have." Upon hearing that, I realized that we would get along. She then motioned for me to sit at the little round table in the kitchen while she prepared our tea. I knew very little of my new roommate other than some scant background information from the mutual friend who had put us in touch. This friend was someone I hadn't spoken to in years, but who had happened upon my plea for housing in New York on Facebook. There is always anticipation when encountering a new roommate, but my introductory phone call with Alvenia had left me with a sense of immense excitement. When I hung up with her, a voice in my head told me that meeting her would be a life-changing experience. While waiting for our tea to steep, I admired all the photos pinned on the wall above the table. The breakfast nook was plastered with incredible images, many adorned with beautiful inscriptions. Photos of Bob Marley signed by his favorite photographer, Kate Simon. Portraits of Roberta Flack and Dizzy Gillespie with heartfelt notes scribbled in their handwriting. A blown-up copy of a color Polaroid of Jimi Hendrix strumming his red guitar outside his home in Seattle when he was just a boy. This image was juxtaposed with a black and white photo of Jimmy waiting on a bench in an airport, taken shortly before his death. Someone had drawn angel wings on his back with Sharpie. I then noticed a black and white photo of a much younger Alvenia modeling a stunning dress as she presented the viewer with her profile. The kaleidoscope of images went on, consuming all blank space. "If you think that's impressive, you should see my office," she winked. She then grabbed her mug and beckoned me to follow. It was true. The objects hanging in the breakfast nook were only the tip of the iceberg. She proudly drew my attention to even more impressive memorabilia suspended above her office desk. 2 framed records encased in glass, identical except the one was gold and the other platinum, with her name engraved next to an image of Mick Jagger's first solo album cover, She's the Boss. A black and white photo of Mick during the height of his Rolling Stones career. A color photo of Mick huddled together with other rock and roll legends. Tina Turner, Madonna, Bob Dylan, the list went on. A black and white photo of Alvenia and a man I didn't recognize rounded out the series. The 2 of them were looking at each other with such respect and admiration. The inscription read, "Don't ever forget how good you are, Bill." I asked Alvenia about these objects that she so lovingly displayed, and each one catapulted her into sharing a distant memory. At first, I didn't know what to expect, but as she casually said things like, "Oh, that's when I was working on Live Aid," or "That's when I was Mick's personal business liaison," or "Roberta was how I got into the music business," or "I was with Jimmy the days leading up to his passing," I would have to stop her and say, "Wait, what?" She would always laugh. Those were from another life, another time. I'll tell you the stories behind them someday soon. The next day, I set off to begin the project that had brought me to New York in the first place. I was conducting qualitative fieldwork for a book on language and identity in the Senegalese diaspora. I planned to spend the summer interviewing members of the Senegalese community all over the city to add to research already collected in Paris and Rome. For the next 3 months, I navigated the city, visiting the West African markets up in Harlem and the cultural centers down in Brooklyn, attending Senegalese dance classes in the Bronx and luncheons in Queens, all the while capturing the experiences of those I interacted with through interviews. I came home each night exhausted by the hours on my feet, but also excited because my day of gathering stories would have only